Show. Thanks for hanging out with us.
What's up, Anthony?
I don't want any beef with you, Kennedy. So
I know. I
take it
know.
too personally. There's a chance I could be back in a few weeks, so there's that too.
That's very true.
I will give you a list of all of my favorite indie recommendations. I have a lot of them.
Take them to heart. Let me know. I'd love to go back.
All right, Anthony, thank you so much for joining us this morning, buddy. Always good to talk to you. I just finished talking about how I believe Michigan fans should feel, and to sum it up for you, and not to bore you for too long, essentially, one, they should really enjoy this and be proud of this moment. First Big Ten title since 2004. They've gone through so much to have gotten to this point. And they did it, I think, in a fantastic way. They lost to Michigan State early on in the year. They recovered, or not early on, 7 games in. They lost. They recovered. They went on the road. They beat Penn State. They beat Maryland. And then they went home and finally beat Ohio State. And then they crushed Iowa in the title game. And here you are. And I think Michigan fans should be feeling confident against Georgia. What do you think?
I don't think anyone really needs to take your advice, Adam. I mean, I think they're doing all those things. I tweeted over the weekend that I don't know if social media is ready for the next 365 days of what Michigan fans are about to talk and what they're about to do. And I'm with you. I think they have more than a puncher's chance against Georgia. I mean, it's a team that's similar to them in a lot of ways, except for the fact that Georgia's just got that 5-star talent all over the field. But, start at Ohio State. And this is a Michigan team that, to your point, it has been a spectacular run, and it's been like they're good. They're talented. I think they were good enough on their own to win 9 or 10 games this year just based on the talent on the roster. But this is a group that is cohesive. They are together, and they're just not it's so cliche, especially we know how sports are today. It's not quite as heartwarming as maybe, the 80s or 90s or whatever when you had these storybook type moments. But this is a team that was not going to be denied. And from here, I mean, like I said, it's all kind of gravy. All the narratives, I mean, except for the, under 500 against Michigan State have been checked off. Beat Ohio State, win the Big Ten, win big games on the road, get to the college football playoff. They've done all of it. So to a certain extent, like Michigan is really playing with house money here, but you have a shot to at least win one more football game here and give yourself a chance to win a national title when people thought that this was if Michigan wins 8 or less games, Jim Harbaugh should be fired type of year. It's incredible. And a couple days removed from that, it still hasn't completely sunk in yet that that's the reality of where we're at.
Yeah. Anthony, I think what's interesting right now is Michigan have an opportunity to win their 13th game of the year. And I can't remember in my lifetime where they had ever won 13 games, let alone get close to it. And I think it's a lesson for a lot of people, and especially, social media today. You understand how the crowd is in public. Everybody wants everybody's head. You have cancel culture. You have people that are unwilling to be patient. They want it now. And I think we learned a valuable lesson. When you have a good coach, and I'm not talking a guy that's never delivered at any level. I'm talking a guy with true cachet, a real resume. When you have a guy like that, like Michigan did in Jim Harbaugh, and you were 6 years through, and it was really 5 because I don't even count the COVID year, and he had delivered 3 10-win seasons. He had gotten you 3 times into the last game of the season with an opportunity to play in the Big Ten title game, but you just lost to Ohio State. I think this was a good lesson for people to learn patience. And Harbaugh finally figured it out. He hired a younger staff. He brought in a Mike McDonald, who's been a phenomenal hire. Josh Gaddis has really put it together this year. What are your thoughts on just being patient and how I think we lack it in society today?
Well, I'll say this. When Jim Harbaugh was hired, nobody signed up for it taking 7 years to get there. So to a certain extent, sometimes you just have to get back to it and keep working. Or unless you become Texas or USC or Florida or these programs that claim to be blue bloods that they cycle through so much change, there's no time to even, harvest the fruit of all the work that was put in. So, like I said, I mean, to Harbaugh's credit, and to go back what you said about the 12 wins, 13 wins, they've never won 13 games as a program.
Yeah, I'm looking now,
right.
And they haven't won 12. They haven't won 12 games since 1997.
Yep, 1905 and 1997. That's it. So this is history that we're seeing this year, and it's like I said, it's been an incredible turnaround. You have a chance to get 13, maybe 14. We'll see. But yeah, this is no, I just think it's less about patience and more about this is the best coaching job that Jim Harbaugh's done with any team at any level of football he's coached. Given everything, like I know you say you're throwing out the COVID season. I can't forget what I saw last year. They went 2-4. They didn't look like they wanted to be there. The culture was bad. There was lack of communication throughout the program. To turn around that much that quickly, it's incredible. And Jim Harbaugh, I think for what my money's worth, you're starting to see his accolades come out. Pro Football Focus Coach of the Year. He should be the National Coach of the Year.
Yep, I'm
no
with
one's
you
ever
on that.
taken an unranked team from the spot they were to the college football playoff. It's his to lose this year. So I mean, it's just the turnaround's been incredible. He hit home runs with every single hire he made this offseason. Brought in younger, better communicators, teachers of the game. And that really helped them to adjust the culture at really just a ground level. When it's easy to come to work every day when for players and coaches when you like the guys that you're working with, and I don't think that's been the case last year. So.
Well, Anthony, I really went into the season with patience and really more understanding with Jim because I compared him to Dabo Swinney. You compare their first 6 seasons side by side, and it's extremely similar. Very similar 10-win seasons. Yes, Dabo Swinney had won the ACC, but the strength of schedule and the strength of the conference aren't even close. But the point is, Dabo took off year 7. And I thought of it, and I looked at it, and I said, you know what? If there was ever a year for Jim to really do it, it was the year he walked in unranked, because what did he do, Anthony, all those years ago when he walked into the Michigan job? First game before Utah, they were unranked. Everybody was like, well, how long is it going to take Jim to turn it around? He did it year 1. And I really think the cards were in his favor this year. I think a lot of things had to come together that typically haven't in years past. But, yeah, man, I'm with you. Yes, you don't want to have to wait 7 years for him to deliver on what he promised, especially because of his coaching acumen. But, a little patience, especially when you're seeing good things. Outside of that 2-4 season during COVID, you had 10-win seasons, you had 9-win seasons, and you just lost all those bowl games, so you missed out on another 2 10-win seasons. So, yeah, man, I think the whole Harbaugh thing is super interesting. What I do want to ask you now moving forward is we've seen all the contracts around college football get thrown around. Jim Harbaugh obviously took a pay cut, and deservedly so, considering, hey, man, like, you got to step it up. What does Michigan do after the season? Are there talks already brewing behind the scenes of, yeah, we're probably going to have to pay Jim and re-up him. Mel got the extension. Ryan Day's looking good. Brian Kelly, all these guys around college football are getting paid the big bucks. Is Jim Harbaugh going to go in and, give a subtle, hey, like, I command this kind of money? Or like, hey, man, like, I'm just really happy to be at Michigan?
Yeah, it's funny. Mel Tucker's made a lot of people a lot of money over the last few weeks, but Jim Harbaugh he's going to get paid. I would assume the second their season is over, when he gets back to the football building, there'll be something on his desk ready to sign. And I don't know what the money looks like, what the years look like, what the buyouts would look like. He's not a guy that's particularly interested in being the highest paid or things like that, but he will get paid. I mean, I'm sure they will at least double his pay back. Like I said, in terms of terms and things like that. But what we're seeing now is a wave of college football where if you think you have your guy, and this goes to your point, Adam, about being patient and investing in a culture and a future, you pay him and you lock him up long term. And with what Jim Harbaugh has done this year, it always felt like if he could just get that one win over Ohio State and just get that one win in Indianapolis, he could pretty much call his shot here. For a really long time after that. So, like I said, I think that there will be the wheels are already in motion there. People that we've heard from know that this is something that will happen. He will get paid. He's not going to just win like he has and say, well, see ya, off to the NFL. They'll pay me there. Michigan's going to take care of him. He wants to be at Michigan. So, yeah, that's something where I think that's going to be wrapped up pretty quickly after the season's over.
I love that point that you brought up, and it's going to take me here now, which is it's so funny that we're in this situation where he finally got over the hump. And you look at it, and Anthony, I don't think anybody realistically is expecting you have to win the Big Ten title every year. No. And you can have a down year every 3-4 years. But damn it, we can't go 7 years and not have anything. And I get the Michigan fan base frustration, but I also look at it and say, my goodness, you guys have been close multiple years. And I could argue you're two snaps away from changing all of this narrative. And I truly think it's really funny. I'm curious to see how they pay him. I don't think the figure is important. I don't think he cares about the years. I don't think he cares about the annual salary if it matches up with Mel Tucker. I think you're right. He's just happy to be in Michigan. But I'm going to ask you this, and I'm really curious. Now that Michigan, look, it's finalized. Number 2, they're going to play Georgia. Did you, one, believe that the committee set this up in a way, one, so they can have a potential SEC final? And 2, what do we do about Luke Fickell, man? He is going to win Coach of the Year, and I completely disagree with it. I'm not sure how else I can advocate for Jim Harbaugh here.
Yeah, which one do I take first? I mean, I do think Michigan should have been number 1, because I do think the totality of your work is important. Michigan lost to a top 10 team on the road. That's just, it is what it is at this point. That's part of their resume, and you don't want to call a loss to Michigan State a good loss because it didn't sit well in that room. But they have the best quote unquote loss of anyone in the country over the last, in November. Since that game, no one in college football played better than them. They beat the hell out of Ohio State. It wasn't as close as the score indicated. They beat the hell out of Iowa. But Bama being Bama, it's, both teams had a case for it. And I think Michigan should have been number 1. I think they should have been playing Cincinnati. I think it's crap that we couldn't just run it back with Georgia and Alabama. But again, without getting into tinfoil hat conspiracy brain here, it's ESPN. They love the SEC. They are. I'll just leave it. I'll just stop there because
I got you. I feel you. Believe me. Well, what are we gonna do about Luke Fickell, man?
What to say about Luke Fickell? Like I said before, I can't make a stronger case than what's already been laid out there for Jim Harbaugh. I mean, Luke Fickell had a great season last year and has been really good at Cincinnati. But when you look at the mountain that Jim Harbaugh climbed, and you even put the human element of everything in there, I don't know how he's not the coach of the year. So we'll see. I mean, kudos to Cincinnati on getting in, but let's not kid ourselves here. Like, if Oklahoma State had taken care of business, or any of those teams,
if Oklahoma State, they would have been in over Cincinnati 100%.
I think so too. So again, that's nothing. That has nothing to do with Luke Fickell. But like I said, Cincinnati, to their credit, won the games on their schedule. They did what was asked of them to do to give them a shot to get in, and they did. And I think they have a shot to beat Alabama. I don't think this is a death march for them, but we'll see. I don't know how Jim Harbaugh's not your coach of the year. It's just
you brought it up earlier, man. Yeah, you brought it up earlier. 2-4 last season in a COVID year, completely turns it around with all the pressure on him. Coming to the season unranked. Last I checked, Cincinnati came into the season ranked in the top 5. They were 9-1 last year, and they went undefeated this year, playing nobody. And their strength of schedule was 87th in the country. Texas freaking Christian had a more difficult strength of schedule. I'm with you. I couldn't make a stronger case for Jim Harbaugh, but we'll have to wait and see. We know how media loves to drive narratives. You know what? Actually, Anthony, if you don't mind, I want to ask you one more question before we let you go.
I have one for you, too.
All right, then I'll let Kennedy ask first.
Oh, I get to go first? Mm-hmm. Okay. Anthony, I'm sure you're aware, I'm not really the biggest Michigan fan in the world. So I'm going to gear
I didn't get that vibe.
I'm going to gear my question a little bit more towards the Lions and about one of your latest tweets. It says, Aiden Hutchinson would love to play for the Texans or the Lions. And you quote tweeted that from the from Pro Football Talk and said, I fully expect the Lions to win another football game or two to ensure this doesn't happen. Anthony, I want to know, one, how lionized are you to tweet something like that? And also, do you think the Lions have another 2 wins left in them looking at their current schedule?
I'm extremely lionized. My dad and my uncles had season tickets for like 30 years. So I've made a lot of sad walks outside of Ford Field, so
Yeah.
I would never rule anything out. Do I see another 2 wins on that schedule? Probably not. It kind of took a holy grail of things for it to happen for them on Sunday. It was their Super Bowl and all that stuff. But yeah, I'll say this too. Like as lionized as I am, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Like when you have the number 1 overall pick, you are not only looking for an All-Pro talent, but you're looking for an All-Pro type of personality that makes sure you are not picking that high ever again. And I know there's Lions that are in a rebuild, and people, you want to pick that high to get a quarterback, but Aiden Hutchinson is the type of guy that, we talk about Jim Harbaugh and how he was able to turn this thing around. Aiden Hutchinson's a huge part of that. Like he, through sheer force of will, put Michigan in the position it is it's in today. So to me, he checks all the boxes. I'd love to see him here. Dearborn Divine Child kid, so kind of the homecoming aspect there, but we'll see. I've watched this team for far too long. We'll see what they do, but nothing would surprise me.
I feel that. All right, Adam, go ahead and hit him with your question.
Anthony, the last thing I wanted to ask you before you went is, there's this huge saga and drama surrounding Kenneth Walker. I am on his side. I do believe it was a snub. I don't believe Michigan State are anywhere the football team they are without him, which is why I believe Aiden Hutchinson also deserves to be in New York. One, what's your take on it? And two, did he get snubbed, or are you like, you know what? He fell just short. I don't blame them for sending Stroud and Pickett over him.
He got snubbed. I think Pickett should be there, but the Heisman is an award, at least through my criteria, and I'm not a voter, so who really cares? The Heisman is an award to me that is emblematic of greatness and raising your team up on your shoulders. Kenneth Walker should be there. No disrespect to Bryce Young, who will probably wind up winning the damn thing. He's not even the best player on his own team. I think Will Anderson should be there. So it's a quarterback's award for whatever reason. I mean, C.J. Stroud, again, really good football player, but you put me or you in football pads for 2 weeks, we could probably throw for 300 yards at Ohio State. Those wideouts and the weapons.
Oh, dude, I could hit that seam route 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, so that's I think it's crap those guys aren't there. I also think it's crap that only 3 or 4 guys get to go. And also, it just seems like with 870 voters, whatever it is, there should be a wider array and there's always going to be a regional bias there. I'm sure there are people in the South who every single person on the ballot was from Alabama or from the SEC. It just seems like there could be something different there to get who deserves. Like I'm of the Ron Swanson mindset, right? It's generally speaking, I think that awards are pretty stupid and they're arbitrary, but they'd be less stupid if they went to the right people. And Kenneth Walker, and you guys can clip this. This is coming from a Michigan guy. Kenneth Walker deserves to be there, period.